Hello and welcome back to the Lee's Summit Town Hall podcast. I am your host, Nick Parker. This podcast is brought to the good people of Lee's Summit by Budget Blinds of Lee's Summit, your home for signature series shades. They're also your home for those smart shade features. If you've got one of those Alexa devices, your Apple, you want to connect your shades to that, you can do it. All you got to do is say, hey Siri, hey Alexa, whatever, open my shades, and they'll do it. So when you're ready to make your home an awesome designed home or a smart home, go see our friends at Budget Blinds of Lee's Summit. Tell them Nick sent you. Today's episode is kind of a Father's Day episode and kind of not. I thought it would be interesting to bring a buddy onto the show and talk a little bit about, sometimes Father's Day is weird or hard. I'm not sure exactly which it is. I grew up without a father. I lost my father to cancer when I was 8 years old, so really I have memories, a few memories, but mostly a lot of stories and pictures from other people that I don't really remember. My memories come from other people. I have a friend, Nikeese Hannibal. He's been on our I Can Relate teen podcast project for 3 years now, and he also has been growing up without a father. We have different circumstances, but it's still a shared experience. And Nikeese and I have talked for a while about maybe doing an episode like this, just to talk about what it's like and how it's a little different. So, welcome to the show, Nikeese.
Thank you.
Nikeese, you've been on some podcasts before.
A few. I have experience
with I Can Relate. You guys talk about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. I know this has been one you've wanted to talk about for a while, but it really hasn't kind of fit. Maybe you know, and maybe your colleagues on that show weren't ready to talk about that either. So we thought this would be a good place to do it.
Yeah.
What is? Let's tell your story a little bit. Mine's different. I kind of hinted at mine a little bit, but what is your circumstance like? Like, where are you coming from?
So I was born without my dad. My dad, I believe, was in legal trouble, and so I just never got to know him. And so my grandpa has kind of been that father figure for me just my entire life. So Father's Day has just been like, I get something from my uncle, and then I get something from my grandpa, and then that's just that.
It's interesting you say uncles, because I always tell people that's, I didn't grow up with a dad. I grew up with uncles.
Yeah.
They kind of stepped in.
Yeah.
And they all took different parts. You know what I mean? Like, they all were different kinds of mentors.
It's like different personalities, just like different core memories.
I've always said Father's Day was weird until I became a father. Then they started giving me presents too, so that made
that's the best part.
That made it a little bit better. But I've always thought Father's Day was weird because I looked, growing up, I looked at friends doing things with their families, or even like I grew up going to Boy Scouts, right? And so you'd go on these camp outs, and it'd be every kid and their dad. Well, I had my uncle and my cousins there, but it was still weird. Is Father's Day? How do you feel about it, or does it make a difference?
I'd say there's times it feels strange, especially with like my friends going out. Like my friend Jet, he goes out with his family, his his family, just dad, They go out to dinner, they go out to Jefferson. My girlfriend, she goes out, she celebrates with her family, and then me and Tegan are just at home with our grandpa. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Because it's strange, because it doesn't feel natural to give someone who isn't your father a gift on Father's Day.
Right.
To most people. And then I tell them that, and they're like, oh, why's that? I'm like, oh, take a guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, even though, like I said, I had uncles too, and
Yeah.
and we would give them, of course, Father's Day cards and presents or whatever, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah, it just...
I mean, at least for me, like, they weren't in the home.
Yeah.
They were there, they were mentors, and they were in parts of my life, but that was my cousin's dad, not my dad. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of the same to you? It was just a little bit weird.
It's a strange feeling, that's for sure.
Yeah. You just finished your sophomore year.
Yep.
At St. Michael.
Yep.
So you'll be a junior next year. Do you find that, and we don't have to be total like focused on Father's Day weekend that's coming up, but I mean, like, too, like, you're around other friends growing up, and are there points where you're like, I can't relate to them, or they can't relate to me?
Oh my gosh,
like where
yes.
you're just, this
Yes.
is awkward, and I don't know how to be.
My friend, we're teenagers, right? So hormones are all over the place. So he's starting to get mad at his dad. He's like saying all these things about him. I'm like, dude, you would like what? Be grateful. I'm like, I don't get to do that. I don't get to yell at my dad. The hell? And then it'll be just like strange for people to like be so not like discrediting what they have, especially like on an outside perspective where I don't have that. It's just very strange. I don't understand it, right?
Is it weird because you don't want to be judgy, but at the same time you're like, I appreciate what you've got?
Yeah. Especially with like new people, like they'll talk about like how, like if your dad's a bad person, if your dad's a bad person, then I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna criticize you for that. But if you're just being like a teenager, just like disrespectful.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm almost 50. I get emotional and weird too.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. We're always dumb humans.
But if you're just like being blatantly like disrespectful and just like breaking like not an expectation because those aren't realistic sometimes, but a rule, like a set boundary that you're like a parent has given you. Like if you're a close friend of mine, yeah, I'm gonna call you stupid. But like if I don't know you, then I'm gonna be like, okay, how do I talk to you now? I'd like, because first base, there's not a lot to relate there.
Right. Do you find, does it make connections hard? Or is it just, it comes up when it comes up?
I'd say it makes connections with certain people easier. Like connections with like different families or like other like people my age, I guess can be hard at times, but with like older like men, I get that connection a lot easier because I guess it's just something I'm deprived of. So I guess I just seek that like interaction.
I can understand that, and I want to know if this is similar. And like coaches and teachers,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't care if they're my coach or my teacher. I mean, from as far back as I can remember, even to now, like if you're a coach or a teacher, I crave your approval.
Oh, yeah.
Like, can I run a lap and dedicate it to you? But I mean, and I don't know if that's just because I know those people are supposed to be role models, or I grew up the son of a teacher, my wife's a teacher. Like I've been around teachers my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's part of it, or just like I just want that mentor approval.
Yeah.
I mean, does that make sense? Are you chasing
I
that
get
too?
it. I get it. I'm not sure. It's just like it's one of those things like you can't put like a set like pinpoint on it. You just know it's there.
Yeah.
Like I've always like been more like close with like male like teachers instead of just like people my age. Like I just
Well, look, you've got a mom and a grandma that are pretty strong figures.
Definitely. Yeah.
Which, again, I'm going to relate to that. I grew up with some strong female role models and people in the family. But yeah, you kind of chase that a little bit of that male figure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, and this is going to be a question about the difference in our experiences.
Okay.
So I have some
Yeah.
memories, and usually fleeting, and it's more of an experience than an actual detailed memory.
Yeah.
That I kind of remember, or maybe I sort of remember the thing, but I remember people telling me the story about the thing. So, are there things you miss without ever knowing him? I'm like, I had 5 minutes of a dad, and so I'm wondering the difference between you and I and our experiences there. And I don't want to do the flippant, you don't know what you're missing. I don't want to be a jerk about it, but I am curious about differences.
Yeah. I don't really miss anything because I don't know anything. Like, I don't have anything to miss currently. Like, there's, like, when I think deep about myself, I know there's everything else. And then there's just, like, that one spot that's missing. And I know what it is. It's, like, like, the actual father. Not the father figure. I have that. I have my grandpa. But, like,
I love that differentiation.
yeah, but, like, my actual father. So I just don't have that. So it's, like, it's an unfamiliar, like, feeling or, like, memory. Because I've been told things, but not good things.
Yeah, that's got to be a different thing. Like, all my stories, of course, because we had him for a while.
Yeah.
All my stories are like this heroic figure, this untouchable, kind soul,
This mythical creature.
Right. Like every once in a while, I want to go to my mom and be like, "Tell me one bad story." But no, that's interesting because so you've had different tales told, and I don't know if I should use the word tale, but that's how I always think of it because it is all I get.
Son, Nikeese, your dad is a mythical creature. Let me tell you a tale.
But I mean, that's how I've always thought of it, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for people that have told me these great stories about him. But to me, it's like I know I'm always getting the best of. I'm always getting the greatest hits.
Yeah.
But for you, you've said because of your circumstances, you've not had greatest hit stories.
Yeah. For like example, the first introduction I got to like anything about my dad was, I believe, when I was, I think, 12. And I asked my mom something about my dad. It was like the first introduction I'm getting to him. I haven't asked this for 12 years. I think I better know something. And it was that it was either jail or prison. I'm not too sure. For some kind of crime. I wasn't told on the crime. I wasn't told on like circumstances. I just know it happened before I was born, and that's when things split. I never got to meet him. So my first not positioning. What's the word? Feeling, expectation.
Yeah.
There's something there. It's coming.
Yeah. No, I know where you're going. I think. Yeah. So what was that? I mean, do you chase knowledge about him, or is that just not part of your...
I used to want to know more, because, like, I was just, like, confused, right? Because Tegan, my brother, we don't have the same dad. We're half-siblings. All my siblings to me are half-siblings. But the things we know about his dad are a lot less than what we know about my dad. So I want, like, to at least know more, right? Because like I've seen the guy, I've seen photos. I know he's out, and I know he's been around my half sister for like a few times. I'm not too sure when, but so like I know he's out there. I just don't know who he is.
Does that get into any of your like your how you define yourself, or are you defining yourself with the people that are there?
The people are there.
How difficult is that?
It's strange, I'd say. It's all strange, right?
Yes.
When you're missing like a key part, it's gonna be a key part of your life. It's gonna be strange. It's gonna be weird, but I don't know. I've never had to define myself in any way like my dad, and if I would, it wouldn't be positive, of course. But like, I've been raised by my mom, who raised 2 kids by herself while going to college. So I've been raised by strong, brave women in my life, kind people, and just really, like, my family's very hands-on, especially my grandpa, because we, like, have all these summer projects and whatnot. But I've been raised the best I could be, and I don't know how having a father in my life would either benefit or be a negative to that. But I'm happy where I'm at, because...
Why did you think you wanted to do this conversation that we're having now, to do this show, like record it and put it out there?
Because I don't hear anyone talking about it. And I know it's like a thing. Like, I'll talk to people and be like, oh, I don't have a dad either. I'm like, okay, why don't we talk about this more? where is it all going? And then I got to my new school, and then
You've been there 2 years, almost 2 years, right?
a year and a
Because you transferred it semester.
yeah,
Yeah.
so about a year and a half, I think. I'm not good at time.
I always tell people post-COVID time doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't.
We just do.
We just do. But I talked with people at my school, and they're like, "Oh, I have both parents." Yada yada yada. Like, okay. Anyone, raise your hand if you don't got a dad. I mean, like, come on, where are my people at? Because it feels something that is not expected, but dubbed down, right? Like you hear about in movies and TV and like actual people. But if you actually like have like a father, you don't actually understand what it's like. So I feel like it just gets swept under the rug.
Do you feel like it's an avoided topic? Like it's something held for a movie or a very special episode of,
Yeah.
right?
I'd say it varies.
Or maybe they just don't know.
Yeah, I'd say it varies with
Yeah.
people. Some people like, especially if you were like close to your dad and then you lost him. I know those people like they don't want to talk. It's a sensitive topic, but with people like me who never knew, it's just like I feel it's just ignorance. Like we don't really know much, so we don't have much to say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, you hear people give the tributes or whatever, and
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I could pass other people's stories as a tribute, but it's hard for. No, I get that. I get that a lot. I want to, since it is kind of to come back a little bit to the Father's Day. Like I said, I don't want it to be the focus, but just a little bit to that. You're 16.
I am.
I am a month and a half away from 50. Ooh, so we've got some.
Sorry.
It's not that bad. I don't feel it coming like a freight train, I promise. But growing up, I had two fears. Three. I mean, like I'm deathly afraid of doctors. It is an irrational fear. Like my brain tells me I shouldn't be, but I am. But I was scared of the age 38 because that's when my dad died. And so, of course, my broken brain says that was when I was going to as well.
Yeah.
And I breathed a sigh of relief. The scary part was I got through it, and then 38, my wife got cancer. So weird. She's happy and well. I feared that age for whatever, for the irrational reasons that we all know.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was also so scared of being a dad. Because I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Do you, or you're 16 and you don't even think about it yet, or do you have that in the back of your brain?
There have been thoughts of like, one day I'm going to have kids. I'm not going to know what the fuck to do, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I see my uncle as an example and my grandpa, but neither of those are like dads to me. They're like other branches of like male mentors. Yeah.
Father figures.
Yes. So I'm not really scared of like becoming my dad. I'm scared of setting an example that I'm like my dad with like some of the bad things I've done in my life.
Yeah.
I then wonder, because when it comes back to me, because it always does, I then wonder, am I like my dad? Is this something he would have done?
Almost like you fear it's
Yeah.
an inherited trait or
Yeah.
something. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. Am I going to go steal a car next? What's happening?
I'm going to advise you not to steal mine. It wouldn't get you very far.
Run out of gas.
I can see that. I can see. I was curious because that was just something in my head. Like I don't know who to model after.
Yeah,
I don't know
absolutely.
what those. And I've always been curious about like what do you think are the traits of okay, you don't want to do what your perceived inherited traits
Yeah.
are, right? But what are traits you hope you have that you can display?
Just the ones my mom and everyone else in my family have given me. Like, Strong, kind, loving, compassionate, stubborn.
That's funny. Why do you say stubborn?
I get it from my mom.
But why do you think that's a good thing?
I'd say there's a fine line between being stubborn and being either passionate or persistent. I'd say she walks that line very well. And it just it leads her to being more persuasive. My mom was always told by my grandparents that she should go into debate because she loves to argue. And she always wins. It's a magic trick, I swear.
Don't argue with your mom.
Don't argue with your mom.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're going to lose.
So, it works. It's definitely something.
Do you find yourself taking notes sometimes, whether it's your mom, your grandma, your grandfather, your uncles, kind of going, yeah, I like that? Kind of cherry picking. Hey, maybe I should remember that, file it away. And it may not be conscious.
I'd say there probably have been times. I just can't name them right now. Absolutely. But I'd say when I look at my little cousins,
Yeah.
I'm the baby of the family on my side. So these are the first people that are younger than me, and I can pick on them without repercussion. But I look at my little cousins, and I help babysit them whenever we're all busy and help around the house. And I think down oh, this is what I hope my family is like when I'm older. Because I love my cousins. They're very loud, but I love them.
Yeah. I get that. I grew up with a lot of cousins around. And to me, most of my cousins are like siblings. I mean, we were around each other a lot. We did things together often. And, I probably had cousins at sleepovers more than I did other friends growing up, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So that was I can understand that. And I don't know. Some of that could have been the circumstance of family filling in.
Yeah. And
some was just, some families are tight knit, and I was lucky enough to have that. When you well, let me just ask you this.
Okay.
What is a dad? What is a father?
I'd say there's a difference between being a father and being a dad.
Okay.
So I have a father. I do not have a dad.
Okay.
My father is the male side of me. He's the one that helped put the baby in the oven. But I do not have a dad. I'd say a dad is the person in your family that the male in your family that's married to your mom. He's the role model. He's the parent. He's responsible. He takes responsibility for the house, the kids, puts you in sports, puts you through all these things, prepares you for what you have ahead. I'd say that's the role of a dad, and those two are just a father. Not all fathers are dads, but all dads are fathers.
I like that. I like that. We share the strong, independent mother.
Yep,
mom,
absolutely.
Right? My mom, and she'll tell you, she grew up a tomboy. So I learned baseball. I love baseball. It's my favorite sport. I learned it from her. So, my comeback, whenever we were growing up playing in the streets or the yards or whatever, and so, you hit like a girl. I'm like, well, yeah, I do. And she's good. I played catch with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Go have a catch.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to always feel guilty because I also wished
it was your
I
dad.
could go have a catch with Dad. Do you get that?
I wouldn't say.
Or is that just me being selfish?
No, not at all. I remember when I was younger, it was me, our oldest brother, or me and my grandpa, and we were just playing catch with a baseball and the glove.
Yeah.
I don't play baseball. I don't know what the glove is called.
I know you do that weird European sport.
Yeah. I play football. No, but it felt like such a meticulous moment. And then I grew up and I thought about that and I'm like, oh, this is something you normally do with your dad. And then so I always wondered why it's not because I saw it in TV when I was younger.
Right.
Yeah. I just never acknowledged it or never, I guess, knew it. like why I love playing catch with like my grandpa or my oldest brother. I didn't know why. It was just nice. It was relaxing.
There's a weird connection that
I know.
cannot be
It's
described.
It's just instinct.
Yeah.
Like that I wanted that with a father. I just didn't know it. Or a dad. I just didn't know it.
Yeah. Yeah. What? We're gonna go backward a little bit, and I know I'm bouncing around on you today, but just a little bit ago, you said you wanted people to have these conversations because they don't happen, or they don't happen often enough for you. What do you want people to know?
Be grateful for what you have, and don't take things for granted, especially like things that have just been set there from the beginning. Is like the foundation. It's what matters the most.
If you could continue it with people, take that conversation a little bit further. Is it a you want them to understand you? Is it you want to better understand what you're missing too? Is it a little of both? Is it?
I'd say it's a little bit of both, but I guess I want to understand. I wouldn't say I want to understand what I'm missing. I just like keeping track. For one that hates planning, I'm a very go with the flow kind of person. But like, I'll honestly like, I use humor to like, it's a coping mechanism. So, and there's like a stereotype with African Americans that there's not a father. And so I'll make jokes about that. And then I'll like talk with people and be like, oh, I have a dad, or oh, I don't have a mom. Yeah. I'm like, okay. And then I'll like, as long as they're comfortable, of course, I'll just like make jokes about that. But I like mentally jotting down like, oh, okay, so this person has this going on in their life that I don't relate to, or that I wish to relate to. And so that can either be a conversation for like better person-to-person like understanding, or it's just like a topic I know not to like a boundary I know not to step in.
This might be a little unfair, but you brought up it, so I do want to ask about it, and I'm curious. Like, I'm a suburban white guy with a beard. Like, I meet stereotypes.
Yes, of course.
It's not the beardy beard, right?
A beard nonetheless.
Yeah.
A beard nonetheless.
But do you think it is harder because of the stereotypes around? I mean, you are a young black man.
Mm-hmm. We gave it away.
You're tall.
I am tall.
What is that harder? Does it make it a little more difficult because there are stereotypes?
Yeah, and
if you don't want to go there, that's fine.
You're good. I get jokes about it, like even if like they don't know it, there's just a stereotype, so there's like humor around it.
Right.
I don't really care. It's not a sensitive topic because there's nothing to be sensitive about for me. So, but with other people who have had that, like they had a dad and then they lost it, I would say there's definitely like dangerous territory there, especially if it's like a stereotype, and then you're gonna get. It's so cold.
Nikeese is sitting right under the vent in the vault, so he's getting the cold air right on him. I actually, because it's always about me, I'm perfectly comfortable.
Oh, thanks, Nick. No, but for people that have had that father, that had that dad, and then lost it, and then like you make jokes about stereotypes sometimes in front of him, it's gonna hurt a lot, I assume.
Well, if folks, if you haven't listened to the I Can Relate episodes, you should go listen to them. And there's 2 more from this season coming out. But about that I Can Relate, you and these groups talk a lot about, let's put it all out there and get into those conversations of what it's like to maybe be a little bit different and to find out who you are. Because look, you were in 8th grade when you first came in the studio.
I was young.
You just finished your sophomore year.
I was still taller than you.
You were taller than me in 8th grade. You didn't know what to do because look, I also use humor to get through things. And
Yeah.
and you were quiet that first day, and I like to
Bully me.
pick on the quiet
You're a
person.
bully.
That's always my
I remember I
go-to.
was sitting right in that chair and
Yeah.
I was told,
Yeah,
talk.
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 But you guys have talked. I mean, there have been several episodes. You guys have talked about what it's like to racial differences, sexual differences, grade level differences, right? The
Yep.
maturity of being different grades and expectations and pressures. So what I guess my question is like, so when you say because of the stereotypes about being a black kid without the dad around,
Yeah.
is that one more thing? Does it feel like it's a pile on of things for you?
I'd say so. It feels like sometimes when you don't fit into that stereotype, like you're kind of letting people down.
That's just another
Like,
expectation
yeah.
for some reason that you feel.
It's like I don't play basketball, and then so when people walk up to me, they're like, "Oh, do you play basketball?" And then I have to say no.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
like,
again, because you're tall.
yeah. Like, oh, and then some of them will be like, "Oh, but you're black." I'm like, "Okay, thanks. I knew that already. I don't need you to tell me." But normally it's just like not very close friends, more acquaintances that don't know boundaries. But like, I can't tell them to fuck off.
Right.
I'm at a Catholic school.
Right, you probably shouldn't do that.
But like with stereotypes, it feels like there's a positive and negative. And if you don't fit into the positive side, you're letting people from the outside down. When I have no reason to like give you any positive feedback about my personal self.
Now tell me if this is true or not. But I have been told, and I hope this is true because it's funny. The real reason you don't play basketball is because your brother did, and you didn't want to be like him.
No.
Oh,
but
dang it! I like sibling rivalries.
it's not. Basketball just wasn't my sport. But I will say that from now on, 'cause it's much funnier.
It is. I was really hoping that was true.
Who told you that?
I thought it might have been Vanessa. I'm not
Really?
sure. Everybody's good friend Vanessa Hickman.
Yeah, we all love it.
We all love it. It might have been her. I'm not sure, but I remember that was something when you first started coming around, and that was
Really?
what I was told.
didn't even
And
know about that.
I was really hoping that was
No,
true.
basketball, I just hated running
Yeah.
when I was younger.
So you're a goalie.
Yeah.
You're a keeper, so
Yeah.
you don't have to run.
I don't have to run. I have to dive into the metal bar.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Concussions are fun.
I surprisingly haven't gotten one, believe it or not.
I loved basketball. I just always had this problem with putting the ball in the hoop. That was difficult for me.
You weren't Larry Bird?
No. I could usually jump higher than a lot of other kids, so rebounding was fun, but that was
Yeah.
it.
That's it.
I had no other talent for that game
I can relate to that.
at all.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just that kind of talent did not come my way. You asked we were talking about, it's not really that you miss something because you don't know what you miss,
Yeah.
but you do see differences.
Yes.
And we kind of hit this a little bit earlier, but I'm kind of, I just get curious about, does it make it hard for you to make connections sometimes? Because I was going to say when I was a kid, I had this, but now that I think about it and I got ready to say it out loud, I still do it sometimes.
Yeah.
When I'm we just had graduation season, right?
Yep.
And so, Charlie, who from I Can Relate, my son just had his graduation. But we would go to graduation parties or whatever, and it's other people with full families, with the full American nuclear family, right?
Oh, yeah.
I still feel a little bit
Alone.
awkward.
Yeah.
And there's no other way for me to say it. And it's nothing specific.
It's just
But I
there.
feel like I don't know how to be.
Yeah, I get that.
Do you
Yeah,
kind of stumble into that
yeah.
sometimes?
At SMA for soccer, you try out, you make the team, and then you go into the chapel and you do introductions and we meet like the new people and the like old people, And then there will be like people that I walked up there with 2 parents, and then me and Tegan walked up there at the same time, and our mom stood between us. And it felt so weird, and like it's been that my whole life, just my mom and then my brother. That's like,
And I think other people who have single parent homes for all of the various reasons.
yeah.
And I will tell you, I always felt like after watching friends who went through like bad divorce, their parents went through bad divorces or whatever. I'm like, sometimes I really think my way might have been easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'd always feel just that little bit of awkward, or I'm watching how other dads act with their kids, and I'm like, is that how I'm supposed to be?
You doing that right?
Yeah, no, I see them do it, and I'm like, oh, I'm not doing it like them, so am I doing it right?
I gotcha.
It's more I'm judging myself. I'm not judging them. I'm seeing because I don't know,
Yeah.
what did I screw up?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're not there yet, but I wonder if that level of awkwardness, and that's the only word I can come up with.
Yeah, it's the only
It's
word
still
that
there.
kind of fits.
Yeah. Like when you see kids and their dads, your peers and their dads, I would feel out of place as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I played baseball or volleyball growing up. And so if we'd go to a travel tournament or even just I grew up, the neighborhood was down the street from the baseball park where we played. But I had a single mom, so a lot of times I rode my bike. I'd sling my cleats over the handlebars and in uniform ride my bike to the ballpark, right? But I'd see the kids with their dads, especially the kids whose dad were coaches,
Oh, yeah.
and I just would feel out of place. Here I am by myself. My mom had my little sister to take care of her. She was at work, so I can probably count on my fingers how many games she went to growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not mad about it. That was just our life. But I felt awkward and out of place.
I'm actually, this just came to me. I had a vision. But no, because I feel that a lot, because my mom, 2 teenage sons that are invested in sports, she can only be there for one.
Yeah.
So because soccer is like, it's not as demanding as basketball. So she goes with Tegan to her basketball stuff. Him and my grandpa are out in Nebraska right now, actually. But normally Saturdays, Tegan goes to training. He is training, and then another training section, and then sometimes a game. So he does basketball for maybe like 9 hours every Saturday, and then practices during the week beyond. So she's with him most of the time because he just has more to manage.
Right.
So I get put with grandpa, and so like we go to practice, it just feels normal, and then there are times when like my mom will come to my game, and it just feels that much more special, because the only time, like, I won't say the only time, not the only time, my mom has like been there for like my entire life. She's
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I get it. It's
just
not a
hard to
complaint.
manage. Yes.
It's just different.
Yes, because like now that our sports are going higher, my mom has to like, I hate to say, it's starting to look like she has to choose, and
Which is
that's
not fair.
That's got to be awful as a parent, especially a single parent.
Right.
Because, like, then one of your kids feels left out, or it just, yeah. So, where was I going with this? This is how we work on podcasts.
Well, I think we were just talking about that, just the weird feeling
Yeah.
of you stand out.
Yeah.
Or at least you
Oh
feel
my
like
gosh.
you do, right?
Yes, because my team, they'll, like, look at my grandpa. They'll be like, oh, is that your dad? I'm like, oh, no, that's my grandpa. And then it'll just, like, I'll feel weird saying that. Like, I'll feel awkward.
Because none of us want to be different. None of us want to
Yeah.
stand out.
Like, I love my grandpa. I love my grandpa to death.
Yeah.
But, like, when I don't have, like, that, like, father, and then people ask, that's my dad, it just feels weird. Like, one, look at me. Yeah, I know you've seen my mom. And then 2, I'm like, no, because it's my grandpa. So I don't really know what to tell them. I just say it to my grandpa, and then that conversation just goes from there.
Right. But it doesn't matter because it's that
No.
2 seconds of
Yeah.
no,
Minor
I don't have the
interaction.
same as you.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like I would, if they were tournaments that we had to travel, somewhere, even if it was just, an hour away, I'd always have to ride with one of the other kids
Yeah.
and his parents.
I don't know if you ever got this when you were younger, but like permission slips, and then the teacher would like talk about it in class, and then she'd be like, "Okay, kids, make sure go home and get this signed by either your dad or your mom." And then like when they say like that first part, you just feel like kind of empty.
Yeah.
Like
I only get one choice.
Yeah, I only have one.
Yeah. Yeah. Or then just the knowledge too that like, okay, I got to get this signature, but then we're gonna have to figure out how I'm actually gonna get to this thing because I know mom has to work.
Oh yeah.
Or for me, we had a special needs sister, so it was like I know mom's gonna take care of her.
Yeah. Especially yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
My mom, like I said, she was a teen basketball,
Yeah.
NBA. So if my grandparents, like, thank God I have two, but if one of them can't take me, I'm like, I can't drive yet. I'm screwed. I'm just not going.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot more. We have to do a lot more management through like calendars and whatnot, because
Sometimes it feels like you have to work harder
oh yeah,
to do the normal kid things
mm-hmm.
than the other normal kids. And that may or may not be true, but it's the perception.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Well, is there anything else or other topics that you think we should put out there that maybe people should understand? Or is there a conversation you wish you could still have?
How do you mean?
Well, you started it by saying, you feel like these conversations are avoided, or maybe not avoided, but just not had because either they're avoiding it or they don't know that things are different for some people.
Yeah.
So are there still conversations around this that you think we need to have either now or in the future that people should know and should have?
I'd say just boundaries, especially with like a person's feelings, circumstance, where they are, because a lot of racist jokes at my school, and then I'm like, oh well.
Do you feel like those two things, and I know you said because there are the stereotypes,
Yeah.
are they that? I mean, this is my own white ignorance a little bit, right? I mean, I don't know another way to put it. I mean, I'm gonna laugh because that's what you and I do, but
Yeah.
are they that closely related?
I'd say people want them to be related for the comedy, or just they want to be right because we're humans, we're dumb, stupid humans who want to be correct. But yeah, they're for some people and for others not. Like I don't relate that black people play basketball. I do relate to that black people don't have dads. So it's just, there's degrees. Everything has its own like complication, and
Is the joke, do you think sometimes the same reason you and I will make jokes about things because I don't know how to talk to you about a hard subject without making it funny?
yeah,
Or
I'd say with some people definitely, and then there are some people that just think it's funny because they're just. I don't know if it's out of ignorance or just like
defense.
or defense, because not really defense, because I know the people at my school that like are like me. I drop them down. Gotta keep them up there. But
You're keeping receipts.
yeah, and then so I'll meet with like a kid, like a friend of mine who I know he has a father. So I don't know if he's doing this because he thinks it's funny, or if he's just ignorant to my whole situation. Which, yeah, you're not gonna know if it's okay if I haven't told you. That's completely my bad. I'm still not gonna tell you because I don't care. Like, but for others, like I said earlier, that could definitely hit a nerve.
What I think we all know, and maybe we don't all know, is what you're saying. Racial boundaries.
Oh yeah.
or at least we like to hope that people know racial boundaries.
Oh God, we can only pray.
But what are, when you say knowing boundaries, as far as talking to people who only have one parent?
Mm-hmm.
What are those boundaries like, or are like where are you setting them? Like, okay, that's too far, or don't assume this.
So my boundaries are, if I don't make the joke, especially if it's about race or like a family situation, you don't make the joke. I set the example and then you lead by that. And don't relate me to like my dad, because what the fuck?
Yeah.
Especially if I've told you about him. Let's not do that. But for others, I can't really give an anecdote, but like I'd assume it's like, especially if like, once again, they had the dad and then lost him, like maybe mid-age, like where they had that relationship and then it was like stripped away. Don't just like blatantly bring up about like, don't be disrespectful to something that they don't have, especially if it's in your own life. I feel like that would hit a nerve, especially because like how my friend talks like sometimes bad about his dad because he's a teenage boy, he's stupid, and he has an attitude.
Because that's what we do to our parents.
That's what we do to our parents.
How dare you give us rules? Which I'm gonna tell you again, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how old you are, it don't go away.
But the boundaries is what, like, the boundary is the example, the other, not the victim, but the planner, not the planner, the person. Mm-hmm. The person sets. It's like a precedent.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I kind of like how you put it. How you put it that way. That just don't assume. And to you, I think I'm stumbling here a little bit. I'm talking like you.
Ouch.
This is what I always tease you about, right? But no, it's true. I think that you make it about the perception and appreciating what you either have or what somebody doesn't have, and not taking things for granted. I think that's
I'd say also appreciate what you don't have.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that. Like, there are times when I'd appreciate a dad, but there are definitely times where I appreciate I don't have my dad. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it can be cliche to say, "Hey, I don't have it, so you should appreciate it," but I think sometimes we all need that reminder.
It's a cliche because it's true,
right? But on the flip side too, I think sometimes, and you tell me if this is just me, and maybe if it's you or not.
If this is dumb, stupid Nick,
like there's a lot of dumb, stupid Nick. But sometimes it makes me appreciate more the father figure that I do have.
Absolutely.
Right? The uncles, the grandfathers. Right? That sometimes I look at how people talk about their dad, even when they're talking, especially when they're talking about their dad in the right way.
Yeah.
The things they appreciate, and I can say, "Oh, I got a little bit of that from Uncle Gil."
Or like when people compliment you on like a certain like aspect of a personality, and you're like, "Oh, I got that from my grandpa."
Yeah. Exactly. And so I think even acknowledging it helps us appreciate the father figures, even though we don't have the dad. And I love how you separated father versus dad. That father's biological and dad's the one that's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. What do you get? And we're going to wrap it up this way.
Okay.
What do you personally, whether emotionally, mentally, whatever, what do you get out of having these kind of conversations and being able to share it, or maybe find somebody that can connect a little bit, or even a friend that's like, "Oh, I had no clue." What do you get out of that? How does it be of help to you?
Just basic like understanding and relationship. Because, like, I love helping people. And if I can make people smile, I'll just make my whole day. It's like, that's what I do, what I want to do most. So if I can get that relationship with that person, and then that relationship soon help that person, like, down the line, there's nothing better than that. Maybe God, but,
maybe that's how we find it, right? Like whatever religion, belief you are, maybe that's how you find it. It's how you treat people, right? I like that. I like thinking that way anyway. I like thinking that way. Well, I'm going to tell you this, Nikeese. If you keep talking like that, you keep trying to connect to people in those ways, that'll make you a good dad. You'll get there. Nikeese, I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate you sharing a little bit back and forth. I hope it's kind of what you wanted.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
When you talked about this, but I appreciate it, and I hope that people listening can appreciate too your perspective, and maybe we can all learn to, take a little bit of time, a little breath, and hear other people's stories about it, and it helps me a little bit too. Like I've always been curious about the how do people define dad? What does that mean? That's kind of been my lifelong question to people, just because I've always I don't know. I wonder how it is. So thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Of course. That'll wrap us up for this week. We'll talk to everybody next time.